All right, so the problem I was having with this seat, it's the passenger seat, the rear angle tilt wouldn't come back up, so it would go all the way down but wouldn't come back up, and it was basically this switch right here. This is the original switch, I believe. So a normal person would just replace this whole assembly. It's sold on 928RS, and I think Pelican Parts sells it. But I wanted to take a stab at it. In order to do so, the smart thing to do would be to maybe remove this wire loom out and then work on the switch. But I didn't want to have to fish this whole assembly, which is pretty bulky, through a very narrow space inside there and then come out this way. So I decided to bring this whole chair home and work on it here. I have like zero room in my area, but I'm making it work for the most part. So then I just worked on this switch, and I'll show video clips of that. Basically what it was the contact points were dirty, and I think they're dirty because there's grease that is necessary in order for these ball bearings to rock on the switch. And I think with heat in the vehicle, like if you're whatever in the summertime, I think that melts down and then creates enough contamination to where the contact points get dirty. There's a lot of current, you can tell, but just the thickness of these wires, there's a lot of current going through, I believe, to work these motors. And with that amount of current, along with the contamination of the grease, it just creates, like a poor connection. There was continuity, but there wasn't enough current going through. So the setup I have is I have a DC power supply of 12 volts. I connect it to this switch right here. I'm sorry, this connector is the main connector that's connected to the vehicle. So you have to undo that connection. But anyway, so this provides positive 12 and ground. And then that switch controls two different things. One is the rear height of the seat, and then the angle of the backrest. And this is the angle of the backrest connection right here. So the first thing you want to do is just make sure that the motors work. So in order to do that, connect your 12 volts to these points on this motor or whatever it's connected to. So I verify that motor works, and then this motor works both ways. If you switch the polarity, it goes one way, and then you switch it and it goes the other way. So you want to first check that, whether the motors work. If they do work, then you want to check the continuity of each wire. So you want to, they're color coded. You want to go over here and then check the continuity there. So I ohmed it out. It was fine, and then you can check the continuity or the switching ability of this switch, and it was actually working fine. And I realized it's probably something to do with the switch, because I suspected that there wasn't enough current, basically. So that's ultimately what it was. The connections were, like I said, dirty. I cleaned them with like a brush, and then contact solution or detox it, and then put it all back together. This assembly to put back together is not easy to do. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's pretty tricky. There's ball bearings or springs. It's just something that you're gonna have to learn how to do if you want to actually fix this switch, but it's doable. I think these things are 99 bucks or so. It's like $100 or maybe $80 to $100. So if you can fix it, that's it's free. So anyways, hopefully this helps someone who might have the same issue with these switches. Okay, so to remove these little, I don't know, what rocker pins, you can see how there's one left right there. Right there. And it's held by these two kind of side clamps. I don't know how well this is going to come out, but basically you take a flathead screwdriver and you kind of twist that and push one side of it a little bit. It looks like it's made out of brass, so it should be relatively easy to, or copper, relatively easy to bend. and then you pop it out. You can see how, like, the contact points where they make contact, it seems to be kind of whatever, some debris there. So I don't know if that's what's causing the problem or not, but I'm going to clean that up and then put it back together and see if that fixes it. Okay, so I cleaned those contact points. Hopefully you can see that. And also the bottom of these things. I use this unique tool. I got this from work. It's like a brass bristle type of thing. Anyways, no idea whether that's coming out. I think what's going on is there's a lot of grease because the ball bearings have to kind of rock on this right there. And I want to say there's a lot of kind of grease, and if it gets hot, maybe that drips down and makes that contact whatever, contaminated, and then there's a lot of current going through it, and so therefore maybe it's I don't know, creating some type of debris, and then eventually like not enough current. It actually makes like continuity, but it doesn't provide enough current to actuate what it needs to do. So anyways, we'll see if this works. Okay, so I did want to mention, when cleaning the contact points, you want to clean this bar also, because that's a contact point. So you want to clean this bar along with this pad right there. Okay, now this is the other part of this assembly, and it's pretty tricky because there's these springs inside these housings, and then there's these ball bearings that sit on top of the springs, and it's more or less kind of held on there by the grease. So that brown stuff is the old grease. I'm not removing any of that because it's actually going to help me hold the ball bearings where they need to be held. And I want to say I don't want to put like the wrong type of grease, if or let's say it melts lower temp, and then it'll just make this assembly that much worse. Apply power. That's working both ways. Feels